Alande. Make I walk you through my everyday life. Busy from the morning light. My to-do list long, shadow fit to overlap. So sharp, turn on mobile app. School fees check, light bills check. Do I'm with speed like a G4 jet. Baby, at the day I am not upset. Check, I don't even use checks, city check.
Join the Appiah family and make fast, easy, and safe transactions with our digital products. Log on to appiah.com.gh. No long thing. We like them simple and easy.
Believe me, no long things in my life. Like I'm simple and easy.
Today, the question is no longer, why do we have problems? But rather, how can we spin those challenges into opportunities? This is the revolutionary mindset we, students here at Academic City, are driven by. Academic City, we believe that the challenges of today are nothing like the opportunities of tomorrow. Hence, we're poised for the future. And so we say,
come join us.
Pakuli.
Biasonyan.
Oyai Tibatane.
Zafula Nabia.
Viens nous rejoindre.
Brabe Kanyan.
Ow, I'm gonna start Shami Hojao.
As we lead the charge to empower the next generation of future leaders. Academic City University College, redefining university education.
Hello viewers, and we're here again refreshed and ready for another exciting session of the STEM Festival Mentorship Sessions. And this year, our theme is Nurturing Tomorrow's Generation of STEM Leaders. Again, my name is Lucy Akosia Fiadunu. The mentorship sessions are aimed for giants in the STEM industry to share with our audience their experiences and prospects in their various fields, and to give them the guidance they may need to reach their highest potential, as well as help them to discover and develop their interests and innermost passions. We have been proudly brought to you by Absa Bank Ghana Limited with support from Joy News and Joy Learning. We'll start with a bit of a quiz. I'm going to tell you who we're going to meet, but I will omit the name. and we'll take a guess whilst we go on a break as to who we are meeting today. He's such a wonderful individual. He is a seasoned communications expert and a youth development advocate. He's also the managing director of Koforidua Clinic and the CEO of A-League Consult. He's also the president of the African Chamber of Youth Development. It doesn't end there. He's also a fellow of the Young African Leaders Initiative, YALI, of Regional Leaders Center, West Africa. I'm not done. The list continues. He serves on several boards. One, Days for Girls International Ghana. He is the board chair. There's Boadache Foundation. He is a board member. And he's also a board member for Innovation for Empowerment and Development. He has over 10 years experience in leadership and various managerial roles. He holds a master's in arts. He holds a Master of Art degree in Communication Studies, all from the University of Ghana, as well as a BA in Political Science and Sociology, all from the University of Ghana. But let's take a quick message from our sponsors.
Whoever you're doing it for, we'll help you get it done. Simply. That's Africanacity. That's Appiah.
Today, the question is no longer, why do we have problems? But rather, how can we spin those challenges into opportunities? This is the revolutionary mindset we, students here at Academic City, are driven by. Academic City, we believe that the challenges of today are nothing like the opportunities of tomorrow. Hence, we're poised for the future. And so we say,
Come join us.
Pakuli.
Biasonyani.
Fuyai Tibatane.
Zalfula Nabia.
Viens nous rejoindre.
Brabe Kanyan.
आओ हमारे साथ शामिल हो जाओ.
as we lead the charge to empower the next generation of future leaders. Academic City University College, redefining university education.
Alande, make I walk you through my everyday life. Busy from the morning light. My to-do list long, shadow fit to overlap. So sharp, turn on mobile app. School fees fees check, light bills check. Do I'm with speed like a G4 jet. Maybe at the day I am not upset. Check, I don't even use checks to the check.
Join the Appiah family and make fast, easy, and safe transactions with our digital products. Log on to appiah.com.gh. No long thing. We like them simple and easy.
Believe me, no long things in my life, though. Like I'm simple and easy. Easy.
Thank you so much for staying on. We are live on Facebook, NSMQ page, as well as STEMFest GH. Please do send your comments, do send your questions, and we will be sure to pick them up and ask our wonderful guest. I know we promised a lady, but nonetheless, we do have someone who advocates for ladies and, of course, for STEM. We are honored to have you, Mr. John Afedi Appiah. I think I got the name right.
Absolutely right.
Thank you
very much.
No, thank you for coming and for gracing our studio today.
Right.
Without much ado, I'll leave you to share with us what your trajectory has been, and we'll come back with some more questions.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank
and
you.
I'm really honored to be part of this mentorship session. So I'll start from my primary school days and create a background well so that our conversation can be very engaging.
Absolutely.
So you see, most of the time when people who some way, somehow happen to make it in society, they've been asked to tell about their background. They usually want to create the impression that they suffered, they were in a very, one single room with 3 people and have to sell pure water and all that just to survive. But I think that sometimes if God blesses you and you come from a good home, you should acknowledge that and be thankful to God. And thankfully, by the grace of God, I had a very good upbringing. My dad was a medical doctor. My mom was a head teacher at that time in one of the very popular schools in Koforidua. So by the time we were born, everything was set for us. They were really ready for us. So I went to some of the very best schools in Koforidua. I went to Madonna International School. And I went to Pope Jones. And Pope Jones, it's important I talk about it because it was during my year, 2001, that we won the Science and Maths quiz. The first time. And I'm praying and hoping that maybe this year we can come back and then claim the title for a second time. But it was important to say that because I started with science. I was a science student at that time. And I remember that when I was in secondary school, I represented Bowers House. That was where I was a resident in at that time in the Science and Maths quiz preparation to select the team. And I happened to have been selected as part of the team to represent the school. But at the same time, I was the Scripture Union president as well. So just around the same time we were going to host the quiz, we also had a very important National Leadership Conference in Presec at that time. So I was torn between the two. Where do I put my energies and where do I focus on? So I went to see the patron of the Science and Maths quiz team at that time, the late Mr. Butu. He was a chemistry teacher. And he also happened to be the patron for the Scripture Union. So I felt he would understand the dilemma I found myself in. So when I spoke to him and I said, I feel more tilted towards the leadership angle, he was like, John, if you are convinced this is what you want to do, go ahead and do it. And I'm happy I took that decision because at the end of the day, it was a win-win for me because my class or that year group won the Science and Maths quiz and we were also able to ably represent Pope John's at the National Leadership Conference, which we made a lot of impact at that meeting as well. So that's a bit about me. I did science, general science, elective maths, physics, chemistry, biology. In fact, my nickname in school was Lord Bayo because, my dad was a doctor, like I said, so I was determined by hook or crook to become a medical doctor, but things didn't go the way I had planned. So after secondary school, I applied for medical school. I didn't get entry at that time. You had to do biological sciences in Legon before you advance to the medical school. So I wasn't given entry at that point. So whilst home, some few friends of mine convinced me that rather than stay home and do nothing, I should teach, spend some time trying to impart the knowledge onto the younger generation. So I found a school to teach in Koforidua. I was a science teacher for the Form 3 class and a maths teacher for the Form 1 class. And that's when I realized that I had passion for engaging with people. It was not only about the stethoscope in a consulting room, injections and drugs and all that. So that sort of moved my attention away from medicine. And so when I had a chance again to apply for the university, I applied to read social sciences. I did political science, history, sociology, and then philosophy. And that's how come I was able to move away very early in life from the sciences, into the social sciences. I had a difficult time explaining and convincing to my dad, especially because like, sociology, what are you going to become with yourself? So I remember one afternoon, I went to the library to do a research to come and present to my dad, 10 things I can do with my life if I go ahead to read sociology in the university. And some way, somehow, he sort of agreed with me and said, well, it's your life and that's what you want to do. So you have the blessings to go ahead. So I did that. When I graduated, I did my national service again as a teacher. That further deepened my love for people and for communication. So after my national service, I worked with one company called Into IT. I was a customer service advisor there. And then I went back to school to read a master's in communication studies. After that, the first place I worked with was with Joy FM. I was a producer on the Super Morning Show and a producer on Newsfile as well. I did that for close to about 2 years, and then I moved on to the British High Commission, where I was the communications officer for the British High Commission. I did that for 1 year, and in a very jovial manner, I'll be honest with you, my dream was to travel to the UK. Cove Town boy, there was no way I could imagine myself traveling to the UK. So when that opportunity for that job came up, I took it seriously. And thankfully, I was able to travel to the UK, I think 2 or 3 times. And for me, it was fulfillment for me. People will say, oh, now John, actually it's important. Anyway, so I did that for a while. And then I moved from the British High Commission. I worked with Invest in Africa as a marketing manager. I always tell people that if you're a communicator, you need to get a commercial acumen or commercial angle to what you do in the communication. So I worked as a marketing manager for another 2 years. And I found myself back into the media. This time I worked with TV3 as a presenter on New Day. I did that for a while. I also doubled as a producer on 3FM. And then I decided to start my own business, the A-Lead Consult, which is a human capital development organization. And then in 2018, I lost my dear dad. He passed on into glory. And before he died, he had started a clinic called Koforidua Clinic, which he established in 1981. So when he passed on, I was forced to assume leadership of the organization. And for the past 5 years, by the grace of God and with the help of my siblings and the management, I've been doing very well in that context. And then because I was very passionate about youth development, I set up an organization called the African Chamber for Youth Development so that I get the opportunity to encourage and inspire young people to do great things. So, madam, this is my story so far.
No, thank you so much.
Yeah.
And it's Lucy.
Right,
Yes,
Lucy.
yes.
Great.
No, thank you. Well, when you share the stories very quickly this way, it just gives us room to even find out
Probe
more
further.
and more
I'm
and
ever
more.
ready.
We want to go back to Madonna.
Great.
And did you used to teach there? Where did the teaching passion? I know people pushed you into doing it. You might have been a good student, but
Yes. Okay.
whilst you're in Madonna,
So-
maybe share a bit with
Right.
us.
So when I was in Madonna, I remember from class 3, any class that I entered into, I was a class prefect. You know, and what happened was that almost at every class, we were given the opportunity to actually launch ourselves and then campaign or outdoor ourselves for the position. So I think from class 3 all the way until final year when I was a school prefect. So I felt there was a strong leadership calling on me because even at that young age, the only class I wasn't class prefect was class 5 because the teacher appointed and didn't give people the opportunity to campaign, to vote as it were. So that's how come I was not class prefect for class 5. But throughout my early stages, I was a leader throughout. And then remember my mom was a teacher.
Yes.
So I felt that gene was in me as well.
Okay.
So that's how come the passion for teaching came up. And I'm glad I went into teaching because I learned a lot from teaching. Sometimes people think that teaching is just for people, low-class people. People think that they couldn't make it in the corporate world and therefore they should go into teaching. But I think that teaching is a very good platform. And I can tell you, when I took over running the clinic, some of the students I taught in JSS worked with me as doctors, medical doctors.
Oh, you must be very proud.
Very proud. And they were calling me Sir John. And the people were like, but where from the Sir John? Have you been knighted by the Queen of England? You know, but they always remember I used to teach them science and I used to encourage them and all that. So I think teaching is a very good profession that gives you a lot of confidence, your communication skills, your emotional intelligence, because you need to understand people, the way they do things. And, you know, children come from various backgrounds and then all that. So for me, one of the things I'm grateful for is that I was able to teach. It has really, really helped me.
Once a teacher,
Always
always a teacher.
Absolutely.
What would you do differently today if you were in that position, going to Gateco today?
Yes.
Looking at what you did before.
Yes.
And going to Gateco,
Yes.
what would you do differently?
I
How
think-
would you teach differently?
Yes, what I would have done differently was I would have focused more on encouraging a lot of the students to pick up science. You know, at that time, it was like a stigma for especially young ladies to pursue science. You know, and some of the students I was teaching, they were very brilliant students, but they were just afraid of the concept of science because then, you know, from GSS, you need to select a secondary school and then a course as well. So most of them were drifting towards the general arts and all that. But having come this way in life, if I should go back, one of the things I would have done consciously was to encourage a lot of the students to pick up science as a course and that they shouldn't only think about medicine because, you know, at that limited level, the only option in your mind is just to become a medical doctor. But there are so many science-related things that you can actually do with with yourself, that will be very helpful. So maybe that's what I would have focused more on, to encourage a lot of the students to pick up science and to pursue it to higher levels.
I think you can give us example. Being a medical director, I'm sure there are a host of different
examples. Okay.
Professionals that are at the clinic you can mention, so that we will know, parents will know, they will know the names, begin to research, the younger ones can know.
Very important.
Yes.
So typically, pharmacy, it's another very good field that if you're a science person and you're interested, you can pursue a career in pharmacy. Then when you go to the laboratory, there are several grades of people that work in the laboratory. There are the medical scientists, there are those that are called technicians, and then all that. But that's another field where a lot of young people that have the edge for science can actually investigate into and develop a career in that. Then, of course, nurses. There are various kinds of nurses. If I had not worked in a medical facility, I wouldn't have known that it's not just a nurse. There are several types of nurses. There are midwives. There are people that do a diploma or a degree. There are people that are nursing assistants, and then all that. So that's another field and avenue, all right? And now with the advance of technology, a lot of equipment that you have to develop specialization in order to utilize. So like the person that handles the ultrasound, you ought to necessarily have a science background and pursue that course to be able to do your sonography and then all that. And there are a lot of other things within the science space that people can think of doing beyond just engineering. Me, I was anti-mathematics. That's how come I was Lord Bayou, because then I would focus more on reading. The flair was for reading. So for people that are, they don't really like maths, there's still other opportunities beyond engineering that you can pursue, and you can do something with yourself.
I like the fact that the bias was towards reading.
Yes.
What were you reading then?
Yes, so in fact, at a very early stage, I was inspired by my elder sister. She's actually a medical doctor now, a physician specialist. And I remember when we went to her graduation those days, she went to Wesley Girls High School. She was a school prefect also at that time. And the prizes she was collecting, chemistry, physics, and all that. And I'm like, so this thing, and at that time, science and maths quiz had started. So I was very excited about it. I'm like, okay, if I know myself, I don't like maths. So what else do I have to do? It's biology or elective maths. So necessarily I had to do maths. So the maths for me was for survival reasons. Oh, somebody would say for shege reasons. At least my 50% plus one, I needed to get that in that. But I was putting a lot of energy in the biology because I was interested about the human body, how it works. How can somebody get hurt over a few period or after some few weeks, the wound gets healed, the eye, the ears, and all that. So I was reading a lot into things like that, and I enjoyed reading. So biology is a reading subject. I don't think the only calculation I did in biology was the dental formula. Even that one I struggled small, but at least that was the calculation I made in biology. So my flair and affinity was more towards reading. I think biology naturally came to me. So I'm not surprised now I'm working in a medical facility, though I'm not a medical doctor. But a lot of people call me doctor because I'm in a medical facility.
I was almost thinking...
Yes. And I'm telling people that one day people will collapse and say, Dr. Bra, and I'll run away because I'm not a medical doctor. But I think that experience, science background and all that helps me now in what it is that I'm doing. Because I sit down with the doctors and we discuss issues, we talk about things. Not just about the commercial angle, but they tell me that, okay, look, John, it appears that most of our clients are hypertensive. And if they're hypertensive, these are the drugs we have to stock in the, So I'm beginning to understand their language, even though I'm not a doctor.
Thank you so much for saying this. Because we are finding out that most of our science-based professionals are equipped in their technical knowledge, but how to share their story. We've heard this from our launch when we spoke to Daniel Chum. It's coming up through when we met Lansine yesterday, and with our speaker yesterday, Mr. Nsia. You are the communicator.
Yes.
You've done your bachelor's, you've also done a master's, and it's a wide range of experience with that.
That's right.
We want to learn how we can sell ourselves as science, as STEM professionals.
Okay.
Please help us.
That's a very good question. All right. And usually I stress on the fact that you don't have to just be technically competent. You have to also be socially competent, So I used to be in class with people that were very, very smart and intelligent. In fact, for the science and maths quiz, I noticed that for those who were actually first all the time in class, they were not able to compete in the science and maths quiz because they had a fear of speaking. Public speaking was a big thing for them. They were overcome by the crowd they saw and all that. But some of us who were around the 8th and the 9th, we could talk and we could express ourselves and we had courage and confidence and vim. So I realized that it was not just about your technical competence, because look, these were people that were scoring 99%. I'll get my 87%, but I would overtake him in the quiz because he may be a bit jittery, he may not be able to speak well and confident and all that. So I always tell, especially the science bias people, that you need to work on your communication skills. You need to work on your social skills. You need to work on acquiring soft skills. Because the perception is that if you're a scientist, you're not friendly, you have a big spectacles, and then you're always by your computer or by your machines or your gadgets. But we're getting to the point where you need to communicate. You may have a brilliant idea. You may have even the cure for HIV, for example, but you should be able to convince and communicate to people and say that this is what I've researched, this is what I've found, and this is what I think that we can do. So a lot of them will have to work on their communication skills and their soft skills. Sometimes I sit in interviews for nurses, and you ask very simple questions that they're fumbling all over the place. They may be technically competent, but they lack that soft skill they need to work. And sometimes there are some doctors that are not friendly. They just come and leave the consulting room. They don't talk to anybody. But these are brilliant doctors. But we need to break the jinx. You need to develop that social side of you as well, that communication side as well. Because my conviction is that if what you are doing it very well, it gets to a point where people would want to listen to you. People want to listen to your views. But if you are stuck in your technical competence and you don't have any soft skills with which you can express yourself and articulate, it becomes a problem. That's why I'm happy about what you are doing on the mentorship session, because then you are opening people up to understand that, look, you are a brilliant person in your field, but it comes to a point you need to tell your story. Okay. So who will tell your story for you? You need to tell your own story.
You need to tell your own story. Let's take this as a comms class 101 for STEM people. We want to help, build that bridge.
Yes.
And this is a wonderful platform.
That's right.
Take myself and the audience as your student today, comms for STEM professionals. What will be 4 nuggets, 4 bullets points that we should do? You're saying we should develop, but what should be 1, 2, 3, 4 things that we should be doing actively to be able to help us break free from all of this, maybe myths, but challenge?
Right. So the first thing I'll talk about is your public speaking skills. It is absolutely important. And even from the days when I was teaching in school, sometimes you would ask a question in class. Some people know the answer. They will whisper to another person. The person gets up and says it. But what they don't realize is that the one getting up to say it will get all the accolades and all the praises. Meanwhile, you wrote it on a sheet of paper for the person to say. So one of the key skills that I encourage STEM people to do is to develop their public speaking skills. It's a very important skill, because at a point in time, you need to tell your story. At a point in time, you need to tell people what you're capable of doing. And you see, especially when you graduate from the university and you're looking for jobs, you need to convince your employer that you are capable of doing the job. Your CV may not be enough for you. You should be able to articulate what it is you have on your CV and what it is that you're capable of doing. So the first thing I would encourage STEM people to take personally and seriously is their public speaking skills. And with public speaking, the more you practice, the easier it becomes for you. It is one of the very few things that you cannot do theory with public speaking. You can read all the public speaking books, but if you don't actually practice, you cannot develop your public speaking skills. The second thing I'll talk about is your writing skills. So beyond writing the science formulas and Ca12 plus O2 plus 3 is equal to C, blah, blah, blah. Fine, that's good, but you should also be able to communicate in a written form. There are times that as a science person, you may have to write a report. There are times as a science person, you may need to write a proposal. All these things have to be written. So you need to work on your writing skills, your grammar, your construction. All these things are important. Don't be happy you are scoring 100 in biology, but you are scoring 40 in social studies, or scoring 30 in English. You need to pick up your writing skills, your spellings, and all those other things. Very important. And then your social media skills. A lot of STEM people, in my opinion, shy away from social media. But I think that social media is a very good global platform that allows you to tell the world what it is that you're capable of doing. So I will encourage all STEM people to take social media seriously. If you get opportunity to be on social media, you have a Facebook account, you have a LinkedIn account, you work continuously on putting yourself out there, letting people know what you're capable of doing. There may be some complex issues in the society that as a science person, you may have an idea to. You can actually put it down in writing and share it on your social media page. You can actually pick a phone, do a video recording of you trying to break down certain things for people to understand, and you put it on social media. You gain a lot of followers, and most importantly, you become a thought leader in that particular field as well. And the last thing I'll talk about is people skills, which is also important in communication. We shouldn't always think that scientists are anti-so people. There are a lot of people that have that perception, hey, Dr. Ford, they don't go to parties, they don't have fun, they can't talk to anybody. But I think that it is important that you develop your people skills, because no matter how brilliant you are, you need to work with people. You need to be able to develop your emotional intelligence that will allow you to get along well with people and to be able to lead people. So these are the basic things I'll talk about when it comes to building your communication capacity.
Indeed, you are passionate about human capital. development. Tell us a bit about the work you do in your private firm.
Great.
That works on
Great.
that.
So what we do at the Early Consult is to train people, to provide that capacity that people need. Because look, I'll be honest with you, it is not everything you get in the university. It's not everything you get in a master's degree. There are some work-specific skills that you may not get in a classroom.
Right.
And that is where we come in as Early Consult, to come and provide that skill, to come and teach you how you can develop and grow that skill. Sometimes people say I'm a motivational speaker, and I say, okay, you know what? Motivation is part of what I do, but I'm not just a motivational speaker. I teach people what they can do with themselves that can make them better. And I tell the story of what I'm doing with myself. Somebody will tell you that, oh, you can make it, you can become a millionaire. It's like a story I read on social media. Someone posted on YouTube how to get 1 million views on YouTube. And guess the number of views the person had on the video? 3 views. So if you're teaching people how to get 1 million views and you can't prove and show you can get 1 million views, then what is the essence of it? All right. So the Early Consult goes into organizations. We sit down with the HR people and we talk with them. Because I've realized that most HRs are just concerned about hiring people. When they hire the people, they stop there. But for every organization, you need to develop the people you work with to the point that they can contribute to the bottom line of the organization. So we engage with various HRs and human resource professionals, and then based on the needs that organizations have, we go into the place and provide training for them. And we're not limiting ourselves only to high-level people. Every level of people or organization we're able to engage with and then interact with, because we believe that if you build the capacity of the person, they can be more productive, they can be more efficient, and of course they can then ask for more. There are a lot of people working asking for more salary, but you've not added any value to yourself. And they're just hinging on the fact that I've been here 10 years. You've been here 10 years. What else have you been able to do within the 10 years that deserves or requires that there's something should be done about your salary? It's about your capacity. It's about you putting yourself out there and consciously working to prove that you're a valuable member. Okay, so all of these conversations, when we engage as the Early Consult, we help people in businesses understand some of these things, and then we help them to become better people.
Now, again, we want to narrow down the focus on
Right.
what are some of the gaps that have come up in your
Yes.
engagement with the various HR groups that you've met with.
That's right. All right.
The solution, if you have
All right. All right.
if
So-
you may.
Right. That's great. So, for example, let me use the organization, Koforidua Clinic, So when I got into the business, I realized that it's not just about the technical competence of the people there, but something as important as customer service. It's a key that turns the business around. All right. So sometimes people don't take customer service seriously. They think that, oh, the people will come. But it doesn't work like that. So even if you take this organization, Prime Time, for example, it's not just about the managers and the leaders, but it's about how they're able to communicate and engage with their, audiences. All right. So I think Isaac was the one I was starting with. We engaged in a nice manner, very friendly. When I came, I met the managing director, hosted me in her office, tells me that she likes people. When I came into the studio, everybody here made me feel welcome and all that. And all these things are important things that helps the business to go on. Because if you want to leave a very good impression, your customer service is critical, right? From the security to the managing director, it is very important. So one of the gaps that most organizations have a difficulty dealing with is the customer service angle as well. Then the other thing I realized too is that some people are not passionate about leadership. They just think that, oh, once I come and I clean and I go, it's enough. But we need to raise leaders. We need to develop leaders. We need to consciously prepare people for leadership. So one of the things we do is to help people with the competencies they need in order for them to become better leaders. All right? That's fine.
What are these competencies? Because we want to take something home.
Yes. So, for example, the way you even see things, your perception, your vision, your outlook on life.
Okay.
These are things that you have to consciously work on, because sometimes people have a limited worldview. I'm just in my small corner. I'm just a cameraman. I don't want any trouble. But it gets to a point where you need to see beyond that particular office that you work in. You should have a broader view over things, because you see, when they want leaders to lead organizations, they look for people that have that kind of overview. So you may be a lab person, but beyond just working in your lab, you sort of understand what goes on in the nursing department, you sort of understand what goes on in the records department and all that. So if such a person is made a leader, we know that this is somebody that can work with every other team member to achieve results. So these are some of the things we talk about. Your attitude. You see, a lot of people just think about salary, but it's not just about salary. You need to have that kind of attitude. Salary is important. No, two ways. I know salary is important, but at the end of the day, you need to have a certain attitude that will make people understand that even if my salary delays 2 days, 3 days, I will still do my best and still see myself as improving myself and being a better person. But some people, when the salary is delayed, they are not going to work at all. They will go on a looter and they will go and fight. I was telling someone that, look, you set up a business yourself and pay salaries and see how it is. It is not easy, so attitudes, these are some of the things that when we engage with businesses, we try to draw their attention to, that in raising leaders, you need to watch your attitude, your worldview, your perception of things, your communication skills, your team working skills, financial management as well. Somebody says that I work in a pharmacy, I don't care about money. But it's about the commercial acumen. It's about the bottom line.
Commercial acumen.
It's about the bottom line. So if you're in the pharmacy and then you realize that you're not making any profits, a drug you're supposed to sell for, let's say, 1 CD, because it's not your business, or let's do it 50 pesos, people can buy and go. But at the end of the day, does it add up? You need a certain level of financial acumen to become a leader, because you need to look at the numbers. You need to look at the income, the expenditure. What do we reduce? What do we increase? How do we improvise income generating activities that will help our bottom line? So these basic skills that we take for granted, we need to look at these things again to raise leaders. And I'm happy STEM and what you guys are doing, it's not just about the STEM field, but raising STEM leaders, which is very important. Leadership makes a big difference.
Nurturing tomorrow's generation of STEM leaders, and you're a true mentor in your own right. You have a special focus for girls.
Right.
Tell us about that.
Right. So one of the things I do now is that I'm the board chairman for an organization called Dates for Girls International, the Ghana operations. And that's an organization that focuses on how they can give back days for girls. What it means is that, they realize that, there are some places, especially in very deprived communities, when girls have their menses, they can't go to school. Some don't even actually work because they don't have the necessary, things they need to be able to take good care of themselves. So they will stay home throughout the whole 3 days or 5 days, and they are losing their days as a result of that. So Days for Girls comes in, and what we provide for these girls, training on menstruation, menstrual hygiene, and then also we have a kind of pad we provide which is usable. To the point that it saves you a lot of money, because we'll teach you how to handle it and what to do with it, so that you can always make sure it's clean, it's hygienic, and then you can use. All right, so that instead of staying home and not going to school or work because you're in your menses, you can actually gain your days back by putting on the pad and applying the things you've learned in the menstruation and the menstrual hygiene and then all that. All right, and I always believe that we need to give young girls the opportunity to dream big. I remember there was an advert on TV several years ago that a girl's place is the kitchen. How? And the problem I have is that now there are a lot of people who are championing feminism in a way that is rather keeping a lot of young girls from entering or venturing into spaces like that. I remember some time ago there was the Pepper Dem movement. I don't know if you ever came to hear those things. They were, if you're a wife, you don't have to cook for your husband too should be able to cook, and all those conversations, But I think that we shouldn't look at it in that direction. As much as we're encouraging a lot of young ladies to be leaders, to be bold, to do things for themselves.
And take up STEM.
And take up STEM careers. It is not restricted and limited only to men. All right, and we'll create a congenial atmosphere for them, and most importantly, we'll get people that have gone ahead of them to come and share their stories, to inspire them, to let them know that it's possible. You can really do it.
As a leader, I know time management is one of the acumens and the capabilities that you need to show, and rightly so. There's a question from Angela. Her question is: time management in Africa is a gray area that needs strict mentorship.
True.
How do you manage being a managing director, president, CEO, and board chair, and all that?
That's right.
How do we inculcate a proper habit?
All right. So I'll be very honest with you. When I worked with Joy FM, I was on the morning show, and you have to be up latest by 4 a.m. My brother who is here will tell you. And then, at that time, it was a job van that will come and pick you. So they'll pick you and pick other people as well. So sometimes as early as 3:30 a.m., I am up. All right. And that's become part of my body clock. So latest by 3:34, I am up, whether or not I like it. All right, that's one. And then two, you see, you need to be able to put your priorities right. So when I spoke to Isaac yesterday, he said we had a meeting at 5 o'clock, and I explained to him what my schedule was like. And I said to myself that if I'm able to push my agenda well through the day, I can make enough time and come. And thankfully, I came with a lot of time to have met the managing director and all that before we started the show, all right? And this is what I do. So, for example, for the Koforidua Clinic, my family lives here in Accra, but every Monday, I leave early in the morning to Koforidua to work. So I work in Koforidua Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. When work closes, I come back to Accra to pursue my early consult and the African Chamber for Youth Development and the other things that I do. But I am a bit flexible with the Kufredra because that one it's an already established business, and I've been able to recruit competent managers that handle things for me. So, for example, because of this meeting today, I had to come yesterday evening, which could give me enough time to do this. And I usually like to plan my days ahead so that I know that I need to make time for this thing to happen. All right. So it's possible. Multitasking is a very important skill. Every young person, every person aspiring for leadership, you should learn, because the world is ruled by tired people in code, because there's so much work to be done. As I'm sitting here, there are other things that I have to do, but it's about arranging your schedules and ensuring that when you have time for this, you do it. That's why at this level, I get very frustrated when somebody gives me a meeting at 10 and the person delays and wastes my time. Because it's a ripple effect. Because I know I'm meeting you at 10, I have made an appointment for 12:30, because I know that will allow me travel time and all that. So time management, you need to really discipline yourself. And sometimes the third parties frustrate things for us. So imagine for this interview, I'll see around 4:30 or 4:20. Then there's delay. Oh, we are checking our lights. We are doing this. By the time we go live on air, it's 5:45. Really? Then I've spent all my day. But I'm happy this interview went on as scheduled and as planned. So I will encourage Angela, right? She asked the question that you need to draw an itinerary for yourself on a daily basis. This is what I'm going to do. You know, when we were in school, we had timetables. We felt that teachers were worrying us, but it was a good strategy teaching us to apportion our times and to work within that time schedule. So that's one of the things I will encourage you to do.
No, thank you. And speaking about time, it is time for a quick break.
Alande, make I walk you through my everyday life. Busy from the morning light. My to-do list long, shadow fit to overlap. So sharp, turn on mobile app. School fees check, light bills check. Do I'm with speed like a G4 jet. You be at the day, I am not upset. Check, I don't even use checks to the check.
Join the Appiah family and make fast, easy, and safe transactions with our digital products. Log on to appiah.com.gh. No long thing. We like them simple and easy.
Believe me, no long things in my life, though. Like I'm simple and easy.
Today, the question is no longer, why do we have problems? But rather, how can we spin those challenges into opportunities? This is the revolutionary mindset we, students here at Academic City, are driven by. Academic City, we believe that the challenges of today are nothing like the opportunities of tomorrow. Hence, we're poised for the future. And so we say,
come join us.
Pakuli. Oyaye te batane.
Zafula na bia.
Viens nous rejoindre.
Brabe Kanyan.
आओ हमारे साथ शामिल हो जाओ.
As we lead the charge to empower the next generation of future leaders. Academic City University College, redefining university education.
Whoever you're doing it for, we'll help you get it done. Simply. That's Africanacity. That's Apsa.
Thank you so much. We're still live on NSMQ Facebook page, STEMFest GH page on Facebook. Please do send your questions, send your comments through to us, and we'll be sure to share with our true mentor, John Afedi Appiah.
Great.
No, it's been excellent speaking with you thus far, and the conversation continues.
Right.
I know you are grateful and did give thanks to God for a very smooth start in life. But I believe it hasn't always been so. Not that we pray or we're looking forward to that, but I'm sure there were a bit of some bumps, some barriers, some challenges. So if you could just highlight along the way those ones and how you managed them and were victorious.
Great. So, I mean, honestly, once you're a human being, you face challenges. Even the richest man on earth has challenges. In fact, I was speaking to one of my mentors who's doing very well financially and all that. And one day I asked him that, please, do you have problems? Then he just sat me down and started listing their problems, the court cases, the legal issues, and then all that. So problems is a part of life. Challenges will always come. But it's the perception you have, how you view it as a way of growing and becoming a better person. So for me, one of the things that really hit me was my, how would I put it? My inability to have entered a medical school. It really got to me. You know, and one of the fears I had was that, you know, my biology madam at that time had a lot of confidence in me. So up to now, I'm sure when she sees me, she would think that I'm a medical doctor. Because Lord, by you, the name, so sometimes I could ask her certain questions in biology, say, hey, John Appiah, you know. So when I didn't get admission, I was broken and shattered. And what it meant was that my year group went ahead of me because I had to stay home 1 year before reapplying into the university. That's one area that really hit me. And then the job search is a very brutal and very draining experience, you know. We all go through that process. I remember there were certain schools after graduation from university, I applied to teach. Even that one class, they said they don't go give me. I've written a lot of applications, I've gone to a lot of interviews, aptitude tests, but I didn't get those jobs. Those were very difficult times for me, but it was preparing me, all right, because what it is was that it was teaching me to understand that, look, when one door closes, another door opens for you, all right? And I know there are a lot of young people going through the job search phase, and they're going through a lot of challenges and difficulties. It is normal. Don't beat yourself too much. Don't go and hang yourself because you have been searching for a job and you don't have a job. Keep improving yourself. Keep taking every opportunity that comes. And I will encourage you, sometimes not all the opportunities will pay very well, but it will be a very good grounds to prepare you. If I tell you how much I was paid for some of the jobs I used to do, which I'm excited about, it was very small, but at the end of the day, it was good preparation. In fact, before I got the GSS job, I had to teach in a primary school. At that time, I was paid 50,000. That was like equivalent to like 5 CD.
Right.
And the salary was so small that I couldn't take transport. Koforidua is a small town. So I had to walk to school and back in order to save some money. But just after the primary school, I got the Gateko Junior Secondary School, and they were paying me about 6 times what I was paid at the other side. You know, so I learned how to manage the small 50,000. When I was promoted to 350,000, then I knew how to manage myself. So sometimes some of these challenges, it is just to prepare you and build you up for the future. And this entrepreneurship journey that I find myself in, it is so difficult. Honestly, there are times I get so frustrated because you need to pay your suppliers, you need to pay the people you're working with, you need to do a lot of things. And sometimes it is draining. It is physically and emotionally draining, you know, because if the month ends and you're unable to pay salary, GRA will come and they will want their fair share. Senate will come and ask you, and even in your work, some people are misbehaving. You have to talk to them. Somebody decides to resign without any notification, and there's a lot of challenges when it comes to entrepreneurship. So sometimes people see me and they think that Masuma Jumi, but I'm keeping myself together and doing the best I can one day at a time. So at a point, I had somebody call me to advise me that, look, John, if you continue to take matters too personally, you will die before your time. Look, we all have challenges. Even the president of Ghana has challenges. The president of the US has challenges. So you need to tune yourself to the point that problems will come, challenges will come, but you will stick to your vision, keep working hard, and have a lot of hope. Especially in this part of our world, if you lose hope, what else can you hold on to? It is the hope that keeps us all going, because there are difficult times. Nobody can deny that, but we just have to be hopeful. So on a daily basis, I encounter a lot of challenge. Just before I came on set, I'd written a proposal to an organization. I felt that was a done deal. I just had a call, and the person was like, no, John, this one took you this way, do it this way, do it. So another challenge has come. I have to live up to expectations. So every day there will be challenges. So don't think that it will be rosy throughout. The challenges will come, the difficulties will come. And I think that when you are pushed to the wall, it makes you more creative, because you need to find other ways that under normal circumstances may not have worked, but because you are pushed to the wall, it pushes you to think, because if you don't think, you die out of hunger, you know. So all these things, for me, keeps me going. It's the adrenaline that keeps us pumping, because imagine a world without problems. No stress. Oh, sorry, you do whatever you want to do.
No, needs also will not be met, and how do you
Exactly.
create value?
That's where
but
the
before we
problem
come to the
starts.
value conversation, because we want to really understand from a STEM perspective, how we can create value, arming ourselves with communication skills, excellent communication skills, and creating value for today and tomorrow.
Right.
Well, let's take that question and we'll come to the lighter side, which is, what do you do for fun?
Okay, good. So about the value creation thing, it's very, very important. It's very important. And I use my work in the clinic to tell people that, you know, beyond just being a scientist or being a science-related field, you need to work on your leadership skills, because then it contributes to the bottom line. So, for example, I have one head of my laboratory who's an extremely gifted leader. And we have given him the opportunity and the ambience to operate. And he's doing very well. He's coming up with ideas, even beyond his mainstay of work. He's looking at how we can do things to improve the things we do at the clinic. And that's what people need to understand. People will pay you not just because of your certificate, but the value you bring to them. How you were able to position yourself as valuable. In the COVID era, a lot of people had to go home. But for those who were able to keep their jobs, they were able to prove beyond reasonable doubt that they are valuable people to the organization. They are valuable people to their business. So even when it comes to cost cutting and redundancy, they were not touched, because these were people that were bringing value to the organizations they are working with. So in as much as a lot of people are skewed, you know, towards just being technically competent, you should look at what value you bring to the organizations you work with. So if you're a very gifted engineer and you have very poor human relation skills, who can work with you? Nobody can work with you, and you can't do all the work yourself, you know. So we need to understand that for value creation, you need to find a fine intersection between your technical competence and your social size. The other soft skills that may not necessarily be taught in engineering class, you need to personally learn these skills to add to your technical competence to be able to create value for the people that you work with. So I think that we need to have that conversation. Let's not just limit ourselves. And I think that even from upbringing, when you score 100, everybody's happy with you. But beyond scoring 100 in the class, how do you get along with your classmates? How do you get along with the classmates? Are you always fighting? Are you always arguing? Are you a people's person? Are you developing your emotional intelligence? So I think that all these things, right from infancy, we need to pay attention to. We shouldn't just be happy our kids are scoring 195, but we should also be concerned, how are they getting on in class? For all you know, nobody talks with your child when he goes to school, because the person thinks that, yes, I have arrived. But all these things, as parents and guardians, even at that early stage, we need to help our kids understand that it's not just about your technical competence, it's not just about your 100%, it's about the other things you do that makes you valuable to the people you work with.
What do you do for fun?
What do I even say for fun? So,
leisure.
Yes, I don't like football, and people find that very strange. So this Champions League, they are making a lot of noise. But you see, for a man like me, I have to at least follow and be able to talk when we have conversations. You know? Because yes, and I have a Chelsea jersey. That's my favorite team. Okay. All right. So I remember once my administrator asked me, so John, tell me about some of the players you have in Chelsea now. And I was stuck because I don't know any current player. I mentioned Didier Drogba and then Michael Essien. I don't know. Old school. Okay, Konako Rivers, who knows? All right. So I enjoy hanging out with friends, you know, chatting, talking, and eating. I don't get to eat often, but when I get the opportunity to eat, I take it like World Cup. I eat Ankasa. Yes, I don't joke with my food at all. Maybe it was because when I was doing my national service, I was the canteen supervisor. So what it meant was that I had to be testing all the food on regular basis to ensure that quality control was on point. So imagine free food at that level. Jai.
I want to go back to your school days, and it's just very spooky that you've just gone back to when you were teaching. But where did you do the national service at?
It was in an Islamic school.
Okay.
It was called Mezi Islamic Secondary School, or senior high school. And you know the interesting thing? I knew somebody at that time who promised me that he was going to put me in a big organization to work. So I actually went to see the person in the office. I wrote down the name of the organization where I want to work. When the postings came, it didn't happen like that. You know, and I learned the hard lessons. Yes, that Charlie, don't put your trust too much in some of these things. Sometimes it works, but sometimes it doesn't work. So when the reposting was done, I was put on IEP, which is the Islamic Education Project.
Right.
And then we were told that for us who are working under IEP, we need to go to the Central Mosque to pick up our posting. So when people were picking up posting from Parliament and that, and some of us went to Abu Sukai to go and pick up our posting. And that's where we were told that to make it easy on us, the area within which we stay, if there's an Islamic school there, primary, GSS, senior high, they will put us there so that we can save on transportation and all that. And that was a very good opportunity for me because I was living in Ashalibuchi at that time. And so I picked that school, which was close to Lakeside Estate, and that's why I did my national service.
It was a different experience because you've done the Gateko and all of that.
Exactly, and this one was a purely Islamic school. So the cultural shift, you know, and the cultural shock. I remember the first day I was supposed to report at the school. We were at the Trotro station waiting for, you know, the bus to go to school. I knew where I was going and I knew the students and how they dressed, but they didn't know me. So I remember when the car came, there was a rush for the car, and one particular student just pushed me away from the entry and got into it ahead of me and sat down, was making faces at me. So I had to wait for the next bus. But I had looked at the face and said, you shall smell pepper when I arrive. So when I got to the school, the headmaster was taking me around class to class. And when I entered that particular class, I spotted that lady that pushed me. And the moment our eyes met, she put her head on the table because she knew that she was doomed. But of course, I didn't do anything negative or bad, all right? But that experience, you know, the cultural shift, the differences, trying to understand the religion of other people, I think it has built my tolerance level because there are some people that are just, they can't tolerate any other thing apart from what they know. But that experience, 1 year teaching in that school really did a lot for me in my emotional intelligence and me understanding other religions and other people.
Oh, this is good. Good timing. More questions are coming through.
Right.
When should one consider advanced education?
Honestly, I would say look at your financial situation. Look at your financial status because most of the time you may not qualify or get scholarship. You need to actually fund some of these things. And I tell young people that it's not a rush to just go and do masters and PhD. You must be sure that the field you are going into, when you go back and come, there's value that you can bring to the market that will give you the job. So it's not a competition. Others can just finish and go. But if you takes a while before you go back to school, there's always time for you to learn. So don't be under duress to put yourself under pressure to go to school. If you have done your basic education, secondary, and the tertiary education, work a while, gain that experience. But experience is important. That working experience, not just about the money, but the network, the people you meet and all that. So don't be in a haste to just continue education like that. Though it's very good, don't just be in a haste.
Good one. And this is a question you relate to.
Yeah.
So, you know, you filled your dad's shoes when he
That's
passed.
right.
May he still rest in perfect peace. So it's more like a young person filling older people's shoes.
Yes.
And the question here is that, how do we bridge that gap when young people entering organizations and taking over from young, older people, you know, sometimes breed this discord and discontent?
Yes,
How do you manage such?
Okay.
I mean, you have
I'll use myself as an
a
example.
very good example.
And let me take advantage and encourage a lot of people that think about the businesses your parents are running. You know, me at that time, because I wasn't a medical doctor, I was not concerned at all about the clinic and all that. But here I find myself running the clinic. In the same way, a lot of people looking for jobs actually have parents who have started something that they've used to take care of them, pay their school fees, they have a roof under which they sleep and all that. But people just don't look into that area. They want to go and work for other people. So I'll encourage second generational entrepreneurship. It's not always the case that you have to start from scratch. If you have a family business going, you are lucky to have gone to school and come back, you can apply your skills and experiences to improve that business and do something for yourself. But back to the question, the clinic was started in 1981. So what it meant was that when I took over from my dad, there were people that actually saw me when I was a baby.
Yeah.
And I had to work with them.
Yeah,
So can you imagine?
Yeah.
And then the other difficulty I faced was that, you know, for such old school people, they are stuck in particular ways. So the first challenge I had was introducing, you know, the electronic medical records into the system because we're using folders. We're writing in folders. But after a while, we sat down as management and realized that no, we need to change. We need to also apply technology, STEM, though I'm not a scientist, but application of technology. So we had to convince them to understand that, look, what we're doing, it will save us cost, it will improve efficiency, and we can be more accountable for the things we do. So it took a long time for people to actually understand. People felt that I was just throwing money away, investing in that technology. But today, some of them come back and say that it was good you took that decision. The other thing too is that working with somebody who's like your mother or your father, and you have to check the person, you have to actually do an appraisal for the person. It is not easy. Our cultural context doesn't allow that to happen. All right. But I always tell people that if you are focused and you know what you're about, you can always find your way around it. And lastly, let us not see it as we against them, the youth versus the old people, because sometimes I see that tension and people create that tension. It is unnecessary. We're all working together. You need the experiences to bring your innovation and creativity to make things work. But you should learn how to do it. It's not that you are bantering with them or you are fighting with them and you want to defeat them. No. We're all working together as a team. And I know that most older generation people, when they realize that you are open, you are respectful, but yet you are firm and confident, they also open up to you and they sort of are able to work with you. Yeah.
No, thank you so much. This is what time will afford us today.
Right.
Awesome conclusion on there. We'll be back here at 5 p.m. tomorrow with another exciting session. We're proudly sponsored by Absa Bank Ghana Limited with support from Joy News and Joy Learning. Thank you.
Whoever you're doing it for, we'll help you get it done. Simply. That's Africanacity. That's Apsa.